Hi everybody, and welcome back to FANG Friday. This is Ross Healy, Chairman of Strategic Analysis Corporation and a Senior Portfolio Manager at McNichol & Associates Asset Management. Now, last week I took time out to see where things stood as far as the ability of our SVA methodology to steer through the events of the previous 12 months, to review how well we have performed. I think that most of you would agree that, so far so good, but what are you going to do for me now in the next 12 months? Well, let's take a look at what the FANGs are saying right now about the outlook for the period ahead. But before we take a close look at the FANGs, as always, I do like to say thanks again to everyone who likes this video and all our subscribers. We really appreciate every single like. Well, 3 of the stocks have come right up to key breakpoints. And the first one, of course, is Amazon. It's come right up to its HB3, which is 16 times book value. But so far, at any rate, it's run out of gas. And we're going to see whether it can break out. Of course, one of the things we'd like to know is that Jeff Bezos is coming back from space. Second, Apple has done exactly the same thing. Remember about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I said, look at if the market's going to rally up to its key breakpoint itself, then all of these companies could well rally. Well, Apple has certainly done that as well. And now we're going to have to see what happens here as well. We've got a couple of weeks before we see their earnings and their new balance sheet, so things are getting interesting. And finally, Netflix has done the same thing. It hasn't, somebody actually said Netflix has leapt up 10%. Well, it kind of looks more like it limped up 10% rather than leaping. But it's right up against a major breakpoint as well. So we got 3 stocks that are wondering, do we break out or is that it? Of course, the companies that I like, led off by Alphabet, still continue to move nicely higher here. Facebook has been doing all right, but it's kind of sloped off a little bit recently. I hope that it's going to pick up shortly because it still has that nice upside target of its bubble price, which is 7.4 times book. And finally, Microsoft, well, it just keeps soldiering on, doesn't it? So as long as it does, we're happy to stay with it. And those 3 stocks remain comfortably ensconced in our, what I might call our phantom FANG portfolio. Now, my own, what I call my own personal bête noire, NVIDIA, look what's happened here. I've been concerned about this stock for some time, and this move I thought was very strange given the action of other stocks in the semiconductor sphere. All of a sudden, the stock just looks like it's just rolled over and is heading back down. I'm not even sure if it gets back down to the HB4 that I would be inclined to buy. I don't like the action here. So in summary, 3 of the FANGs have rallied back up to major breakpoints, and we are left hanging with the question, what now? Amazon is right at its HB3 breakpoint, and we still have 2 weeks to go before we find out if Jeff Bezos actually comes back from space. At this extreme moment, it looks as if the stock is holding its breath. I know that I am. Apple has just about reached its HB5 price. That's 26 times book value. And it may well run into problems here, as it has done so here before. We'll have to wait a couple of weeks for their second quarter numbers, although it's the longer term slowing outlook that really concerns me. Netflix has rallied a bit, tepidly, I would say, but it's rallied. They're going to expand into video games, if you please, so good luck to the company. The HB3 price, 16 times book, stands over the shares, and that's all that I can see for now. Long term, I remain from Missouri. As for Alphabet, Facebook, and Microsoft, I suspect that it's steady as she goes. Alphabet appears to have shucked off that $500 million EU fine without even a hiccup. I'd like to see more of a spark from Facebook, but we'll see. Finally, Nvidia looks as if it's running out of gas, another 2.5% down today. Maybe that's wishful thinking on my part because the stock kind of got the better of me in the last 12 months. But I am looking at the other semiconductors, Micron, Intel, and Texas Instruments, and wondering what Nvidia is doing up here in the first place. Now, what are your takeaways for this week? First, I think that you all know what my big concern is, and that is what happens if, as, and when the S&P 500 reaches up to my low super growth upside target. That's 4.5 times the adjusted book value of the market. That's still a comfortable, roughly 15% away from here, so I'm not going to break into a sweat today, or maybe even for a while. But it's there, the elephant in the room, as it were. Second, we should definitely be watching to see how the FANGs are reacting to that market risk. Third, for the moment at least, the FANGs still look to be leading the market higher, and that is pleasantly bullish. Now, not, I think, that the FANGs themselves will achieve new valuation high, but their leadership may well inspire investors to remain confident and optimistic. Fourth, that could be enough to lead the S&P 500 back to its valuation high last seen in 2000. And as I have said recently, I would not be strapping on my parachute just yet. And finally, with Amazon, Apple, and Netflix at either up against or close to their key breakpoints, you will want to stay tuned to see what happens now. And also, of course, what impact their new balance sheets are going to have on their valuations and their outlook. For now, this has been Ross Healy, the chairman of Strategic Analysis Corporation and a senior portfolio manager at McNichol & Associates Asset Management, reminding you that nothing, including investing, is difficult if you have the right tools. I'll see you next Friday. Have a bullish week.